Hello, and welcome to another Cuz Bad Guys Tactical Breakdown. In this breakdown, we're going to go over Captain Cold from the TV series. This is one of my favorite characters from the Flash TV series. He is awesome. Leonard Snard, the guy who plays him, so great. By far my favorite character, by far my favorite Flash Rogue, and by far my favorite character in the Legends of Tomorrow series. He is just a great character. His suave, just the way he interacts with everybody. He is a little high and mighty, but that is all of who he is. He is just a great character. Love his tactical mind, the way he approaches situations and scenarios, the way he plans out all of his missions. Just a great character overall. And I really love the way my model has come out. And we'll show that to you at the end of this. So let's get right on into his character card. So this is Leonard Snart. He is known as Captain Cold. He is a free agent for affiliate unknown. So he can be taken with any of the crews outside of the crews that he hates, which is going to be Batman, Green Arrow, Law Forces, because those are all good guys. He also doesn't get along with the Joker and League of Shadows. So Joker, because nobody really gets along with the clown Prince of Crime. He just doesn't play very well with others, kind of normal. And then the League of Shadows he doesn't get along with because in the TV series he's actually had a run-in with a few of the agents for the League of Shadows, and they just don't like each other. It's pretty great. He is also a sidekick for the Freeze Gang, which is super sweet. I don't have the Freeze Gang just yet, but I've ordered them. I'm super excited for him. So let's get right on into his weapon. So he has the Cold Gun. The Cold Gun has two different kinds of ways to fire it. So let's go ahead and go over the first one, which is going to be the Cold Gun Full Power. The damage for this is going to be double blood plus a stun, rate of fire 1, ammo 1, so he can only shoot this once. It is a beam weapon, so it damages on a 2+ and ignores bulletproof vests. It also gives a -2 to pings. So people trying to hide behind cars and buildings and stuff like that, there's a -2 to that, which is pretty great. It is short range, so 20 centimeters. It has the cold rule, which makes sense because this is the cold gun. Cold says that if you damage someone with this, they lose a movement counter immediately, which is pretty awesome. It then has the ice template. So ice template is after you shoot and damage someone, or if they save with a ping, it counts as hitting the ping. So wherever the edge of the car or the building or wherever that would be, you then put the explosive template down. Anyone under this has to pass an agility roll when they activate because it counts as you putting ice on the ground. So they have to see if they slip and fall over. It also counts as impeded terrain. So for every 2 centimeters they get of movement, it actually turns into 1. So pretty awesome. The ice template also screws with speedsters. Anytime a speedster ever comes into contact with it, they automatically lose 1 counter of the speed force, which is pretty great. The last thing the Cold Gun has at full power is going to be aim, which is pretty a hardcore detriment because aim says that you can't move before or after you fire this shot. And it's short range, so 20 centimeters. You've got to have this shot lined up at the beginning of your turn, and you can't move after you shoot it. Other than that, it's pretty awesome. Does a ton of damage, puts down an ice template that can really mess with people's movement. Really good. The second way to fire the Cold Gun is going to be the normal way, so it's called just the Cold Gun. It is double blood with rate of fire 2, ammo 3, so he can shoot this 3 times in the game, so tons of ammo. It also has the beam special rule, so damages on a 2+, ignores bulletproof vests, and does a -2 to ping rolls. This is medium range, so instead of the 20 centimeters, which is short range, this is 40 centimeters, so doubling up your range. It also has the cold rule, so if you ever damage someone with it, they automatically lose 1 movement counter. And then it's also accurate, which is really, really great. Accurate is if somebody's trying to dodge the bullet, so if they're an acrobat or if they have dodge, they would need to roll equal to or under their movement. Accurate gives them a -1 to their roll. So if they're movement 3, now they've got to roll a 2 or less on a dice, which is pretty great. Makes it so acrobats and dodgy people can't really dodge the cold gun. So let's go on to his stats. His first stat we're going to cover is going to be willpower. So willpower 6. This is pretty normal for most free agents and sidekicks. It's not too high, not too low, kind of in the middle range. He isn't going to get all the things done that you want during the turn, but he's a shooter, so you don't really need tons of dice for attack. Usually he's going to be moving and shooting, or shooting and moving, and that kind of stuff. He shouldn't really need to defend himself because he's a shooter. If he's defending himself, you've got him out of position. Willpower 6 is pretty good. He is then strength 4+, which is pretty ridiculous for this guy. He is a shooter, so he doesn't really need to walk up and punch people, but he doesn't have a bonus to close combat, so if he does walk up and punch people, he's just going to be doing the 1 stun. But strength 4+ means that if there's this random character that keeps waking up or something like that from being KO'd, Captain Cold can walk up to them and punch them and keep them down. So strength 4+ can come in handy, but is kind of wasted on Captain Cold. He is then movement 3, attack 3, defense 4, and endurance 7. So movement 3. Movement 3 is pretty awesome. It's kind of normal for sidekicks and free agents. Sometimes they do have movement 2, but movement 3 on Captain Cold is really good. Makes it so he can get to where he needs to be. He's not super duper fast because he's not an acrobat or anything like that, but movement 3 really helps him out. He is then attack 3, which is good. Kind of helps him with the strength 4+. Like I said, if you do need to knock out that random guy that just keeps waking up, he is able to do that because of his strength 4+, and he can put 3 attacks into there. But normally he's just going to be shooting, so only needing 2 attacks. He is then also defense 4. Defense 4 is awesome. That's the defense that I look for when I'm taking free agents. That's the defense that I want generally, just because you're going to be hit on 4s, 5s, and 6s, which every dice in the Bat Night game counts. And having a 50% chance of somebody missing you is actually a pretty big deal. I really appreciate defense 4 on him. And then he is endurance 7, which is 1 endurance higher than most free agents or sidekicks, because most of them are only endurance 6. So endurance 7, totally welcome on this guy. He's not a super tank, but for being a shooter, he could be considered a tank because he's only going to ever get shot back at, usually, unless somebody really sends like an acrobat combat guy or something after him. Him being shot at with being endurance 7, he can usually take it. So let's go on to his personal traits. His first personal trait is going to be strategist. So strategist is, I really love the manipulation of the game outside of the game turn. So at the beginning of the game, really, really like that. And strategist plays into that. So strategist adds 1 point to the 3 normal points that you get to put towards strategies. So instead of 3, you get 4 points with Captain Cold. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but you're adding 33% more to your strategies by just taking a strategist, and you can get a lot of work done with just that 1 extra point. So I really, really like that he has strategist. It's also very fluffy because he is the team leader for the rogues, and this kind of shows through along with another one of his personal traits, which is going to be leadership. So leadership is a bubble effect that's 20 centimeters, and it makes it so friendly characters within 20 centimeters can re-roll willpower checks that they have to make during the turn if they fail them. So leadership, you're not really going to run into a ton of willpower checks because you've got to be like hypnotized or something like that to be able to get the bonus from leadership. But it's a nice little fluffy thing for him to have that can come into effect really hardcore if you face off against the Wonderland crew with Mad Hatter or Poison Ivy. Both of those characters try to hypnotize, and leadership can really help you out with that. His next personal trait is going to be another one of the very fluffy things for him, and it's also manipulating the game outside of the regular turn, which is Mastermind. So Mastermind, just like Strategist, does something outside of the normal game, and Mastermind gives you one more counter to add to the bag to taking the first turn, or taking the lead for the turn, actually. So getting the initiative. Mastermind is one of my favorite personal traits to have because I absolutely love going first in any of the turns. It's the thing, because you always try to line up that one thing that you've got to get done, and Mastermind really helps out with that. His next personal trait is going to be Order. Order is a good thing to have, and it's also very fluffy on Captain Cold because he is a team captain. He is a strategist and a mastermind. He like plays out all of the stuff. Order makes it so in the turn he can spend one special counter, and then any friendly character that he can see, he can reposition two of their counters. So if you have a shooter that gets out of position, now he needs to move somewhere because he doesn't have a target anymore, you can do that. If somebody is going to be attacked, you can be like, hey, I need you to take those counters out of movement and put them into defense. It can really help out. Order can really help you change your counters around if you find yourself out of position or you plan someone wrong at the beginning of the turn. His next personal trait is going to be Range Master. Range Master means he gets +1 to hit people when he shoots them with his cold gun, which this is an awesome ability because henchmen, almost any henchman now, he's going to be hitting on 2s, with them being defense 3. Range Master is really good. Range Master combined with accurate on the regular cold gun shot can be pretty devastating to acrobats. It's really, really good. And then his last personal trait is going to be Teamwork with Heatwave, and it's Teamwork 1. So Heatwave has Teamwork 2 because Heatwave depends more on Captain Cold, and I really like that it's 1 to 2 on both of them. It's very fluffy, totally is another thing that points out their relationship, because Heatwave is way more dependent on Captain Cold than Captain Cold is on Heatwave, but they're still a really great team, and they work together really well. So Captain Cold can use one of Heatwave's counters during the turn, as if they're his own, and it's really, really good. I love taking what I call Fire and Ice lists, where I run Captain Cold and Heatwave, and then I just keep them together, and they tag team people, and they're an awesome group to have. Really, really fun. So let's go to his point cost. So he is Reputation 72, which Reputation 72 is a little steep when you look at just his stats. His stats are a little low compared to other characters that are in the 70 to 80 range. But then you take into account his manipulation of the game outside of the turns, which is going to be Strategist and Mastermind, and he can really pull your team ahead in getting the initiative and having those strategies, like being able to put your characters into position that you need them to be. Really, really good. So 72, it's a little steep for his stat line, but he really helps with the manipulation of the game. And then his funding is going to be 400, and 400 for 4 ammo on his guns, on his 2 different shots, Really, really good. It's so worth it because the regular cold gun can be really devastating to acrobats because of the accurate and because he has range master. Can be really, really good. Funding, some crews can find it kind of tough to be able to put this guy in there just because he is 400 and everybody wants to take that assault rifle, all of that stuff. But just take into account what he does outside of the regular turn when you look at choosing whether to take this guy or not. So let's go on to strengths and weaknesses, and let's cover his strengths first. His strengths are going to be his gun. His gun is really, really good. Him having, and just like I've already said, range master and accurate on the cold gun, really good. Him having strategist and mastermind, really, really good. Those are the things that I love the most about this guy. That, and then his defense 4 combined with his endurance 7, because this guy essentially only ever gets shot at, because you shouldn't be getting him too close. He almost always survives for me. He rarely gets knocked out. Great character. And just playing off of his ranged combat, he is really, really good, has ammo for days. It is a beam weapon, so you can't pull ammo out for the beam weapon, but he has 4 ammo, so he just runs around a little, shoots, scores you some points. His weaknesses are going to be, I would say that his cold gun full power, it is short range and has aim, so you've got to really work on lining up that shot for it to be able to work, because he can't move before or after he shoots it, and it's only 20 centimeters. The way I found to get past this weakness is to put him on one side of a car that a crew is on the other side, and then you shoot across the car. Because it's a beam weapon, it's going to ignore a ton of the ping that any of the characters are going to get, and then the ice template is really going to slow down people, but you've really got to you've got to work to line up that shot, and it can be pretty tricky to do. Some games I actually never even shoot the cold gun at full power, just because it's so hard to line up. So the way I use this character, I've touched on it just a little bit before, and I run him in Fire and Ice Crews, and because he is a ton of fun to play fluff-wise with Heatwave. The teamwork, they really help each other out. Captain Cold usually helps Heatwave a lot more, just because Heatwave has teamwork too. Really love doing that. And then his beam weapon can really work off of people trying to hide behind stuff. You just shoot him, and then he doesn't care about it. Captain Cold is really, really good versus cops like the SWAT team, especially characters like Delta, who has the shield. So he comes with a ping, and then he has a bulletproof vest. The ping he would normally get is a 4+, because this is a beam weapon. That 4+ turns into a 6+, and then the beam ignores the bulletproof vest that Delta's wearing. So this is a really, really good character to take against Batman crews and Law crews that are usually run really heavy with SWAT. So let's get on to how this character has been painted. So this is the paint job that my buddy has done. He actually just created a YouTube channel and has started doing painting on there. It's called Kicking Studios. It is a featured channel on my channel, so look him up. His painting is great. He does bolt action, 40K, hero stuff with the Marvel Universe and the Batman game. You guys should really check him out. Good stuff. I'm really happy with how this character came out. It's ridiculous. Like, I love Heatwave and Captain Cold, and running them together and having them painted at this quality is awesome. They're just great centerpieces for crews. Really, really love the way they came out. How do you guys like playing Captain Cold? What crews do you take him in? What other free agents do you run him with? I think he's a great character to have in almost any crew. Let me know what you guys think. And remember, cause bad guys.